Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Inside Artesian Basketball here on WREP 15 Sports. I'm your host, Eric Meyer, joined, as always, by Artesian head coach Kip Staggs. The Artesians pick up a big win over the Perry Meridian Falcons in Mid-State Conference play on Friday night. A good crowd in attendance for the first ever boy-girl doubleheader as well. We'll talk about that with the coach and take a look at the highlights, and we'll also look ahead to the Artesians' doubleheader weekend, weather permitting, this weekend as they will travel on the road to battle Mid-State Conference rival Franklin and then back home against Indianapolis Met. Coach, let's go back to that Friday night, and it was a rare boy-girl doubleheader, actually the first one that we've ever had here. A lot of teams have done it in other areas. We usually draw well for the boys and the girls independently, so haven't really had the need necessarily to do that. But out of the fact you were worried a little bit about a makeup day maybe happening and the conference coming to a close in the girls basketball season, you kind of put that together, and it turned out really well for both teams, both victorious, but a huge crowd, great atmosphere at the John R. Wooden Gym.
Yes, we were real pleased with how it turned out. We were able to make that decision early on Wednesday. We'd had preliminary conversations with Perry Meridian on the Monday before, and just trying to monitor the weather a little bit. Our biggest concern was the officials and trying to find basketball officials that would be willing to work both contests in that same venue. And so that was our biggest hurdle to overcome. And then once we were able to secure the officials, both schools then agreed to move forward. And then obviously we had multiple activities going on that evening, and we're supposed to be taking place as well on that Saturday. So we had to get multiple groups on board with moving some things to Friday instead of Saturday. We had to shift the officials. Actually, the girls' officials that were supposed to work on Saturday were not available for Friday, so that created the scenario where we had to come up with the officials. Fortunately, the boys' officials were pleased and happy to work the girls' games as well. And then on the JV side of things, we had something similar as well. So we had to work out the JV officials. And then, we recognized the middle school boys and girls basketball teams at their respective half times. We also had a dance line performance that we had to make sure that we had promised them. We also had the post-prom three-point contest. So we had a lot of things going on that evening. And then, we had to make a change with our freshman boys game that was originally scheduled for that Friday night, and we were able to move it to Tuesday. And so there was a lot of moving pieces here. We had to bring in some additional staff to help cover and make sure things would work properly and move smoothly. And I think for our first attempt overall, we were successful in the event. And we've already got plans in the future for next year where Decatur Central, they'll be here, and we'll have them on a boy-girl doubleheader on a Friday. And then Greenwood will travel up there. Boys and girls will play on a Friday in that same scenario. So we've been working on this actually since last spring to make some of these events take place, but due to contractual obligations, it takes a little bit of time to make it all happen. The Perry Meridian scenario this past week was just really out of necessity because we needed to secure the game for conference purposes. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to get that done. And as we talked to Perry Meridian, our best scenario was to move it to Friday to play it with the boys' game, because this current week would not have been good for either school. So it made a lot of sense for us to put the boy-girl doubleheader together, and really gave us a good experience of what to think about and how to correct things for next year and make any adjustments we need to.
On top of that, two big wins on the varsity level for the girls in the opening game, and then you guys came out in the nightcap to battle Perry Meridian under new head coach for them, Mark James. Not new to coaching, obviously. He's been around for a long time. A Martinsville boy, comes back. He's had a lot of success wherever he's gone. You knew you were going to get a tough task from his ball club, athletic team, disciplined ball club. Really, you guys played a nice game. You jumped out on them early. They made a run at you late. You held on for the win. But overall, a nice performance by your ball club on Friday night.
Our guys did a nice job, man. We talked during the week that we had to be patient defensively. We knew they were going to be very methodical. Their guys are well drilled, and they're skilled in what they do. They know what they're supposed to do. There's no gray area for his teams, and honestly, it's a team, and every team, whether it's at Franklin Central or when we played him when he was at Ben Davis, all of his teams, they're not going to beat themselves. And so you've got to make sure that you keep your tempo where it needs to be, you control the turnovers, and defend and shoot the ball well. And we were able to do a lot of those things for the most part. But very nice win for our guys. I thought we competed very well. We played with a lot of compassion, passion. We played with a lot of heart, and we played with a little toughness too.
You said played with a little toughness. Is that the difference, at least early on in the game, with what you saw, or what are some of the things that you thought were key to that performance, especially early on when you stretched it to an 18-point lead there in the third quarter?
Well, the toughness piece was not just the physical part, but the mental part. They're going to hold the ball and make several passes before they shoot it. So mentally, you have to hang in there and have a sense of toughness about being disciplined on your end of the floor. And then because there's fewer possessions, you have to make sure on your offensive end that you do a really good job of getting the ball where it needs to be with guys in a position to score. So you have to have that mental toughness at both ends. And then obviously when they made a run at us, we had to have that mental toughness, the composure, the poise that maybe we would have lacked early in the season, but we were able to hang in there and come up with the win.
Artesian's a big win over the Perry Meridian Falcons. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the Friday night contest against Perry Meridian.
So here we start with a high ball screen, and Tyler's able to pick and pop, and Reed finds him for a nice three to get us going. That was a good way to get going. Here's Elijah driving and finding Chase inside. Excuse me, and we were able to attack the paint a little bit. Here's Tyler kind of seeing what's in there, and we're able to find Chase on the short corner, and that's a shot that he can make at 10 to 12 feet. He's not known to be the great shooting prowess, but he is good enough. He can make those shots. There's a nice cut by Andy, and he's able to make that shot. Here's a tip ball right at the end of the quarter, and Noah's able to pick it up and score. That was a big basket for us, puts us up 13-8 as we head to the second quarter. They really trapped Reed quite a bit in this game and any ball screen action, but here we're able to make a pass out of the trap, and we're able to find Noah in the corner. Here's Tyler with a nice find. He finds Elijah on the weak side and pumps that lead up to 19-11. And I thought we really played with some good composure during this stretch. Here's a nice ball screen, and Andy's able to maneuver his way and find a little area that he can work and gets to the basket. Here's a loose ball, and Reed's able to get to the basket, makes a little sidestep, and is able to finish from the left side back to the right side. Here's a block by Tyler that knocks a little bit of a break. We're able to get out in front, and Reed is not able to knock it down, but he gets his rebound and puts it back in. We're able to extend that lead into the third quarter. Here's a little handoff play, and Reed's able to pick up that handoff from Tyler and knock the three down. And we eventually go up 38-20 during this stretch and really play with a lot of composure. Here's a nice pass from Andy, finds Reed on the weak side, and we're able to really do some good things right through this stretch. Here's a tip ball. Elijah picks up the steal, is able to find Andy, and adds to that lead once again. So our defense ignited a little bit of offense for us, and that really is a big deal in a game where you don't have a lot of possessions. Here's a loose ball, a 50-50 ball that we're able to pick up. Elijah finds Andy on the other end. And during that stretch, they were starting to make a run at us. But Elijah hit big free throws down the stretch. Tyler hit big free throws down the stretch. We were able to get the ball where it needed to be when they were really pressing and trapping us, and feel good about coming out with that win. That was a good win for us.
Yeah, once you got it up to the 36-20, the one basket that you saw, and there was basically free throws for you guys a lot the rest of the way. You saw the one other basket, I think there was maybe one other one in there that was able to score, but a good job for you guys. You get the lead to 18. You know they're going to make a run at you. They start hitting some shots from outside, but you guys able to hold the composure, and like you said, maybe something you wouldn't have been able to do early on in the season, but that's obviously what you want to see as a coach, some growth, and got a little bit of that on Friday night.
I think so. I think we were able to play through a little bit of toughness. It got a little bit heated. It's easy to play when you're up 15 or 18, and it's easy to play when you're down 15 or 18. The pressure's different. But when the team's making a charge at you, you've got to be able to hold your composure and play with that mental toughness and grind it out a little bit and look for the shot you need to. And I thought our defense was pretty good. I think we were able to, we made a change in our zone from the Guerin game to the Perry game, which we feel like is going to be helpful for us. We adjusted a little bit about how we cover some things. And, it's probably a positive for us. and we're able to see some success out of it.
Able to get the win over Perry Meridian. We're supposed to play on Saturday against Providence Cristo Rey. That game was postponed, moved to Tuesday, February 5th, the contest between Artesians and the Providence Cristo Rey Wolves. So we moved to this week, and again, it's a scheduled doubleheader coming up on Friday night, on the road on Friday, Saturday back home against Indianapolis Met. Let's focus like you guys are on the Mid-State game on Friday night against Franklin. You'll get a chance to go back again from Franklin every year. I'm sure it becomes a little easier because you've been away now, but these are still kids that Reed played with when he was younger, with Tyler played with when he's younger. I'm sure there's some emotions there. They seem like they usually compete well, but yet still have some friendships maybe from that time. So it should be a good contest, a good battle coming up against a good Franklin team on Friday night.
Well, here's another team that's, they've won 10 games. I was talking to Columbus North coach yesterday, and, they've won 12 games. You look at Edgewood, they've won 13 or 14. You look at Castle, they've won 13 or 14. It seems like everybody we've played, for the most part, had a really good year. Plainfield's had their best year that they've had in probably a decade. Everybody we've played so far this point to the schedule has had a really good run. And Franklin's no different. They've won 10, and they were able to pull out a win the other night against New Pal on a Monday night, a makeup game. They were not able to play Saturday like we were not able to. But as you mentioned, we're very familiar with their guys, and they're familiar with us. And it's a big game for Franklin. They have a dance marathon as well. They raise a lot of money, like our kids do here, and it's their super supper, I think is what they call it. And they're, probably because we bring a good crowd, and it's a big game. I think they're going to let all their students in free that want to come to the game. And so, I would expect a lot of intensity from that standpoint. They'll probably start chanting about Reed and, Daddy's coach and whatever. And, we get that from time to time like we did at Bloomington North. But, he's handled that pretty well over the years. And Tyler going back to seeing some of his buddies are, so it's going to be a fairly intense game from that standpoint. So it is going to be a little bit personal for our guys. But, I see a lot of growth out of our guys. I think Andy Myers is playing as well as he's played all year. We got some guys back, which is helpful. Brady Costin played for the first time this past weekend, and so he provided a spark and a lot of energy. Damon Hillman is back off of his injury, so those two guys provide us some depth on the perimeter that I think will help us. And then but this game is going to be, I don't want to say similar to Perry, but it's going to be methodical. They're going to walk the ball up a little bit. They're going to make a few passes and kind of see what you give them. They're going to be in a flex offense for the most part, and they've got 2 or 3, 4 really good guys that can score the ball, and they all know their roles really well. And I think we're kind of moving in the right direction. We're not exactly where I'd like for us to be right now, but I see progress and growth out of our team, and Friday's going to be a big challenge for us.
You mentioned Coach Dickey's ball club. They're going to be methodical. They're going to have guys that can get to the basket, a lot of that flex offense that they will run. What are some of the things that are going to be important for you guys to do on the defensive end to kind of counter what he likes to do offensively?
Well, we're going to have to be really good in the scouting report. I thought we did a really good job. I thought Coach Dearlove did a great job getting us prepared for last Friday. And, but we kind of treated that team similar across the board. This is a little bit different in the sense that, that they've got one guy that can shoot it from 24, 25 feet. And they've got another guy that, is not really going to shoot the ball. And then they got another guy that's going to do something else. And so they've got a mixed bag of guys with what they can do. So we've got to really pay attention to the scouting report and find shooters, make sure we take care of their flex action. So this is going to be a game where, we're going to have to do a good job in a half court, understanding, recognizing, and being where we need to be defensively. And so that's going to be a big challenge for us. Offensively, I think it's really important that we continue to find opportunities and share the ball. I start to see us doing a little bit better job of making the extra pass. We haven't got to that point where we're making that extra pass and really doing some things to get a really good shot, and we're going to have to do that. So, it's kind of a mix in the sense that we're going to have to continue to grow in our game on both ends of the floor while being able to defend the flex, while being methodical, and getting a good shot on the offensive end for ourselves.
Hopefully come away with a victory on Friday night over at Franklin in Mid-State Conference play. You'll come back Saturday, weather permitting. It looks like the game will probably be able to be in, but the weather changes quite often around Indiana, as everybody knows. But Indianapolis met that opportunity that you guys would have on Saturday if the weather permitting, like we said.
Well, they've got a nice 6'7" kid in the middle that's really athletic, and they've got 2 or 3 guys that can really play. This is a big game for them on their schedule. It's a total different look for us. They're going to be more up and down. And so you go from Friday night where you got one tempo to Saturday to a different tempo. And so it provides new challenges for us. It helps us for the tournament in the sense that you can play both styles. And that's one reason why we play a variety of schools, so that you can play against a variety of styles. If you always played, half-court teams, then it doesn't maybe necessarily get you ready for the tournament. So you got to have those different experiences during the course of the year. They're coached by Lee Jackson, who is a collegiate player at Navy, and so they're going to be well coached with what they do. And so, it's going to provide you've got to win 2 games in the tournament, Friday, Saturday scenario. So this will help us prepare for that as well. But, we're kind of at the point right now in the season where our practices are a little bit shorter. We're putting in a few wrinkles here and there. We're doing a few things a little differently, getting a lot of shots in, and getting ourselves ready to be able to play 2 games back-to-back.
Like you said, get ready to play 2 games back-to-back. Stylistically, the difference is also win, lose, or draw. What happens on Friday night, the kids have to be able to bounce back mentally after a game, a mid-state conference game with some emotions on the line, get it back, win, lose, or whatever, and play on Saturday as well.
No doubt. And that's part of the challenge. And, we've been able to be in those situations in years past where we've been able to accept that and move on. And, you either pick yourself up and get ready for Saturday, or you, wipe your smile off and get ready for Saturday. So there's really 2 approaches, but we'll go about it the same way that we would have done last week or the week before. Weather changed that on us, obviously, but really, really good experience for our guys at this point in the season.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. We'll see you there Friday night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Artesian head coach Kip Staggs here inside Artesian basketball. Martinsville, big one Friday night. Get out there, support the Artesians. Mid-State Conference play, like we said, as they travel to Franklin to battle the Grizzly Cubs. As always, I'd like to thank the head coach for coming in for Kip Staggs, along with the RTV2 students who helped produce it. I'm Eric Meyer. We'll see you again next time inside Artesian basketball.